Welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin, where you come for education, analysis, and opportunities in cryptocurrency. My name is Lucas.
My name is Ryan.
Welcome to our weekly live stream. Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening, the afternoon? I guess you're just going to have to subscribe and hit the notification bell to find out as we find our rhythm. Unfortunately, we will not be joined by our good friend and partner, Jacob. He's got some really good information to share on layer 2s this week. In fact, hit the notification bell if you like short bits and information. We've already got 3 more videos ready to come out about the market this week, and we look forward to continuing to just pump out not just news about the market and what's going on in the world, but technical videos, how to get involved, DeFi, and using bridges and the like. So if you like this kind of information and you want to be kept up to date on the latest and greatest, check us out, follow us. And if you know something that you want us to look into, that you want us to share with others, this is not financial advice. This is educational information, and we are just learning and growing in this together. Feel free to drop a comment and let us know a project or a protocol to look into, and we will be happy to check it out, maybe do a vid and share it with others as well. Did I miss something, brother? Was that pretty good?
Oh, yeah, you got it.
I covered it pretty much. All right. Well, then, thank you for all who are joining us for the weekly roundup. We are going to keep it nice, quick, and concise, but there's a lot of good stuff to cover. So let's get right into it. We like to start the day, obviously, with a market roundup. And let's get right to it. One of our favorite market cap overview sites, nomics.com. What's the story, Ryan? I mean, what...
Well, I think Shiba has done fantastic these last few days, and it's continuing up 16%. But I think the big story today is really just Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, yeah.
Bitcoin is the big story. It's continuing to push higher, and all signs point to a retest of its highs over the next few weeks to months. So lots of attention and energies on that asset right now. And go ahead.
I was just saying, this is when you really see it. Not a lot of excitement over it getting close to 60,000. 60,000 just over was Bitcoin's all-time high, and we see it now just pushing and getting closer and closer without a lot of fervor. And that's when you really look at pushing to new heights, right, and retesting new when people aren't even aware. You know, everyone was excited
under the radar.
Sure,
so to speak.
But last time it hit 60,000, everyone's just like, "Wow, when's it going to stop? It's going to keep going."
Right.
And then it hit 60ish, and it started coming. Now it's coming back with more support, and these are those times where we get ready for breakouts. So definitely, yes, Bitcoin is the big story. But that being said,
Shiba's doing well, I think, but I personally am very, very bullish on Fantom, and I'm very happy to see it continuing even today to continue to grow. It's had a great week, and the Fantom, the Fantom protocol. There's a great DEX on there called Spooky Swap, mm-hmm, and their utility token, the Boo token, is also grown along with Fantom. So both of those are pretty good pairs. They make good liquidity pools to get into.
And for those who don't know, Shiba Inu, if you're looking at these two protocols or two cryptos, and you're wondering what's the difference and why does Ryan kind of gravitate towards Fantom, well, Shiba Inu is a token built on the Ethereum network. Fantom is its own network. It is a blockchain, and it's a blockchain that is there to relieve, the congestion and the high gas fees on the Ethereum network. And I would consider Fantom, like Harmony One, Avalanche, others, to be the blue chips that are functioning. They've got a decentralized exchange. They've got bridges, and I mean, you've already been dipping your toes and experiencing, and that's really the key to crypto is timing and
time in.
That's right.
The market.
Timing and time in.
A function of both.
Shiba Inu is something remarkable. It's considered the anti-Dogecoin built on the Ethereum network, and anti-Dogecoin because it's designed the tokenomics to be more secure and less inflationary.
Shiba has ownerless locked liquidity, which is a very unique feature. I can only think of another project, a Wise token, that has a similar design, and this creates a price floor essentially where these assets are locked up, and you can sell your Shiba and cash out and access these assets, which are locked in an ownerless contract. And this creates a floor below which Shiba won't fall. And there's one other thing that's interesting about Shiba. If you go over to Shiba Swap, which is a DEX on their network, you can stake your Shiba, your SHIB, and just recently stakers were rewarded with an airdrop. So it's another example of a protocol that rewards people who interact and support the network. So
participation.
Keep that in mind.
All about, we really support becoming involved. This is a new technology. Everyone, no matter what walk of life, where you work, whether you're in positions of political power or you're just now learning how to operate a cell phone, we're all in this new technology together, and it's really innovative. It's beautiful what's happening. And yeah, the Shiba Inu Lot Liquidity, we're fans of Lot Liquidity, like you mentioned, Wise token. If you want to think about it from a traditional finance perspective and what ownerless locked liquidity brings, you remember that there was a very popular movie, a black and white movie called It's a Wonderful Life, very popular Christmas movie. And at the end of the movie, it's famous for the bank run. Everyone's running to the bank and trying to get their money out, and there's not enough money in the bank. Well, that's the value of ownerless locked liquidity. The ownerless locked liquidity means there's nobody there lending out. There's no one there siphoning off in the background. The value, the money that is given is locked, and it's ownerless, preventing a bank run, preventing people from coming back and it not being there. And that's one of the biggest value points for blockchain and crypto, which is why we've been fans of Wise token and the team, and have more to talk about that in the future, because they're really talking about airdrops, supporting the community, and complete
all kinds of good innovation happening on that chain. So, on that protocol.
But Fantom, we also have more coming out on that this week. We'll be dropping a video to show you how to bridge to Fantom, to show you how to provide liquidity and use their Spooky Swap. So if this is the kind of stuff you want to learn how to do and get involved, then don't forget to hit that subscribe notification bell. Drop a comment. Say I like what you're doing. Say I don't like what you're doing. Either way, it helps our algorithm. Help us not be shadow banned. I think we have 100 million subscribers, but because of shadow banning, we're down to 50.
Well, I think that's the update, right? I do want to agree with what our commenter Aaron says, that Yearn has done a huge growth, and that's right. Yeah, Yearn has done very well, and I think there's other projects that I believe could replicate, and we're gonna talk about them in a standalone video coming in the next few days, so keep an eye on for that.
Yeah, there are other projects that are looking to achieve what Yearn Finance achieved, but to do this on other blockchains instead of just Ethereum. And when we see the value going on to Fantom, Avalanche, and other networks, if you can find the Yearn Finance on another protocol that could now be worth maybe just $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 or $7,000, and you see the value in Yearn, well, just understand that a network that has less gas fees and is growing rapidly, you can see
what the potential looks like.
Absolutely, but that's a good point.
We just talked about Fantom, so why don't we jump into that first story about AAVE?
Let's do it.
Talk about that.
Let's go right into it. That's a good segue.
So this is breaking. This hit the wire earlier, just a few hours ago, and the news that we're seeing here is that AAVE is proposing to deploy its lending products on Fantom, and this is another story about gas fees, right? AAVE, anytime you're interacting with the Ethereum smart contract, you're going to pay gas fees, and that's true on AAVE, it's true on Uniswap, and various other ETH-based protocols. So to see these lending protocols come to Fantom, which has almost tiny gas fees, it's not even worth speaking about. this is great. This is very bullish for both of those protocols because they're going to add to each other's networks and they'll grow each other.
Yeah, and our Aaron mentioned Yearn Finance. Well, Aave is another one of the blue chip protocols on Ethereum, much like Yearn Finance. I know they're slightly different, but they're huge when it comes to providing liquidity, aggregating liquidity for lending and borrowing. Now, Aave just recently announced a couple weeks ago they're working with Avalanche protocol, and now they're looking to work with Fantom. What does this mean? And I just want to pull this up real quick for those who have never heard of Aave before and don't know what Aave is to DeFi and blockchain. It's basically a place where you can take your digital assets that you're sitting on, whether it's a stablecoin, Ethereum, you can lock it up and for other people or yourself to use as collateral for borrowing and lending. It's a completely decentralized borrowing and lending protocol where there are no custodians. And now the problem is, and you mentioned this in a recent video, the problem is gas fees in Ethereum and the network. And gas fees can be so high, you can have $100 that you locked in, and then you find out that the gas fees are so high you can't even pull your $100 out because the transaction costs $250. So you essentially, the network becomes so expensive, and if you're not careful, there's a lot of value that gets swallowed up and locked up and virtually inaccessible, right? Because sure, you could pull out $100, but if it costs you $250 to pull out $100,
that transaction's not going to go through.
Most likely won't go through unless for posterity you just want it back. You'll pay.
Right.
So when we see Aave working with Fantom, Aave with Avalanche, what we're seeing is there's a lot of value in this protocol. This is a functioning decentralized finance protocol built on the Ethereum network, and it has been working phenomenally, flawlessly in many ways, so much so that they're taking this model and they're bridging it, moving it to other chains so that people can continue to use it without being hit with those high fees.
Exactly. And it's helping. I mean, I wanted to go back to that article. There's a chart showing the total value locked on Fantom from August through October.
Whoa.
And it's amazing. It's gone from 743 million in August to 5.5 billion in October. And this is largely because of this lending protocol, this fork of Aave called Geist Finance, which is launched on Fantom. And that protocol is what has driven the total value locked so high. It pierced the 1 billion level, and now it's over 3 billion in assets on the Geist on that fork of Aave. So that's impressive.
It's also
that kind of growth is amazing.
It's also more of a reason if you're wondering in the world of smart contract platforms, which of these protocols are going to win the race. Fantom is definitely one of the leaders in the pack. It's growing at a rapid rate, and it continues to attract the attention of the bigger blue chips. In fact, we just scrolled past a Twitter from Aave, Fantom. They created a governance proposal to launch Aave on Fantom. Now, what's cool about this is that why do we say to participate and to get involved in these protocols? Because they're run by the community. If you're a staker, if you're a hodler, you have the ability with a wallet to go right onto the website and vote on these proposals. Yes. It's not being done by some small cabal group of people that, it's all built on these open source
transparent networks. Foundation to it.
Very democratic. So if you'd like, instead of just passively sitting on these projects that you support, get involved, use a bridge, provide liquidity, vote on a proposal, find some way. And you will find more often than not, we're so early in the game, you get rewarded. The airdrops, yes. I mean, people are earning thousands of dollars for free just by experimenting and using these protocols. So can't say enough about that.
That's a good point.
Can't say enough about Aave, and it continues to be interoperable on these different. It's almost like follow to see where AAVE is going to go, to see which platforms are good, solid platforms.
That's a good point. All right, now let's talk about. This is a good segue, because we were just talking about Fantom, and this article from the Bitcoinist site mentions Fantom. The headline here is that cross-chain bridges have risen in total value locked by 89% in 1 month, in the middle of a DeFi, boom. And the two protocols the two bridges that are leading the pack is Polygon and Fantom. Polygon being the main at 4.5 billion locked, total value locked, and then Fantom right behind it with right below. So yeah, massive growth in the bridges away from people moving money from Ethereum to these other protocols, and taking advantage of the DeFi opportunities that happen there with much cheaper fees on transactions.
Well said. I don't want to go too much into it, because obviously if you want to know more about bridges, we just did a detailed video going a little bit more into cross-chain bridges. We even list several different bridges on different networks with direct links if you want to experiment and find out more. So definitely hit this notification bell and stay tuned, because I think in the next 24 to 48 hours, we will be having a bridge video dropping. And there's some really, really neat bridges out there. But right now, Polygon and Fantom, like as you said, they are definitely leading the pack.
Yep. Now,
cross-chain bridges, why is this important? For those who don't know, this is adding value. This is actually a synergistic innovation that allows chains to add value to each other. In the past, if you were on one highway, one chain, you just had to stay on that one chain, and all the traffic you could do, all the stores that could be built, were just on that one chain. By creating a bridge, a road that connects these two highways, now you allow people to have access to the stores, the protocols on both of those different blockchains. So if you were only on the Fantom blockchain, and now there's a bridge that gets you to the Ethereum blockchain, well, now the value from both of these can seamlessly, they increase the value of each other. And we're seeing more and more blockchains develop these interoperable pathways. And this is just huge for the community at large. This is big for blockchain in general, and for those developers and those people in the space who have been saying for the longest time, it's not a race to see who's going to be the one blockchain. It's more of a race to see who are going to be the major blockchains, the major highways that people are able to use. So
exactly.
This is huge to see cross-chain bridges growing, because this is just growth for the whole ecosystem. And
that's right.
Cross-chain bridges. What else I want to say about this, other than I'm so bullish. It makes me think of Terra Luna and bringing UST stablecoin dollars to these decentralized cross-chain atmosphere. I'm really excited to see how that turns out. But other than that, cross-chain bridges, we
I think we got that
good?
Nailed.
Well,
so that brings us to some macro story about more economy at large issues. This article is centering on the debt crisis and the debt ceiling crisis. And as you know, the debt ceiling has been raised, or I don't know if you know, but if you can read the article, you'll learn. The debt ceiling has been raised since 1939 over 100 times. So it's not like this hasn't happened. And
it's par for the course.
Yeah, it's par for the course. Essentially, the way to think of a debt ceiling increase is if you were running out of money on your credit card, and you called the company and you were running out of money in your bank account to pay your credit card, and you call the credit card company and say, hey, can I get an increase on my debt limit so you can borrow more, right? That's really all this really is. And so the underlying macro takeaway here is that as debt ceilings increase, the supply of debt and currency and credit increases, right? So more money is being spent, and the more money that's being spent, that means the more money that's being borrowed and printed, and those there's a relationship here. So the takeaway for crypto markets is bullish. You're looking at more structural factors that kind of ensure a weaker dollar going forward, ever weaker. And this isn't something unique just to the United States. This is a global phenomenon that's seen in almost all countries, and to some degree or another. So more or less, you can kind of bank that the paper prices are going to continue to go up, and that the value of a dollar will continue to fall, and that's very bullish for substitutes to those fiat assets like cryptocurrencies.
I was going to say another big takeaway from this article that people have been talking about for a long time. When is this going to manifest? But it talks about an ultimate decoupling.
Right.
And right now we're seeing the world stage set where there's more of an infrastructure for people. El Salvador accepting Bitcoin. There's an actual infrastructure around Afghanistan, and what we just the women who are now learning how to use Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to get around certain instability and issues going on there, and being urged to come up with their own cryptocurrency. So this decoupling from the U.S. dollar, I think, is another part of the story. Yeah.
I think technology will help make that possible. I mean, we're already seeing stable coins, and there's a time on Wonderland's time on Avalanche. They're trying to build a reserve currency that has nothing to do with fiat currencies. It's backed by a reserve of crypto assets, and I know there's other projects that are looking to do that. So I agree that some sort of decoupling is potentially possible in the cards. But then again, that's going to take a long time. There's going to have to be a lot of awareness that spreads through society about these issues. And I don't know how. I know the technology's there. I don't know if the social dimension will be as will play out that way. But I think it definitely will, probably in the long run, as this relationship between the debt and the dollar and the government continues. I don't think it will be. We can say it's always going to be this way. So yeah, I can see a day where there's a decoupling, but I feel like it's still
not
far
today.
Way off. Not today. No.
Before we leave this article, because it's nothing that you didn't already say, I just want to read this quote. The government has given itself the ability to increase its credit card limit every year for the last 100 years on average, and that has ramifications for the middle class. Middle-class Americans are feeling the biggest pinch in their wallets from inflation and rising costs, all spawned from a monetary policy that is expanding the U.S. dollar balance sheet. Now, this pretty much sums up a lot of the value and why we promote educating and learning and teaching people about cryptocurrency and blockchain, because it is the potential to sever people from that relationship, from that weakness. And right now, those same middle-class Americans, or those people all over the world, not just middle-class Americans, there are people all over the world that get pinched from the printing of the U.S. dollar.
For sure.
And those people who pick up a cell phone and start a web wallet and engage in blockchain and in cryptocurrency, those are the people that are decoupling, I feel, from the strains.
Right. Yes. No doubt. And I wonder, that's a good segue into this next article. Mm-hmm. There's another decoupling. Well, I don't know if I wouldn't go so far as to say it's decoupling, but according to JP Morgan, and they're seeing that the institutional investors are starting to prefer Bitcoin over gold. So is there a decoupling from gold, from being from its status as the premier inflation hedge?
The foundation of money?
The foundation of money, yeah. It seems to be things are shifting.
Yeah, and it's interesting enough because JP Morgan and Chase, the irony is that the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, is most famous for speaking out repeatedly about how Bitcoin, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is a scam, is a joke, is worthless, it's fraud. I mean, he says so much.
You're dumb if you invest in it or something.
And yet the company that he's heads there's a figurehead, has a survey, detailed analytics. They've come out and they're like, well, from all of the data that we've been able to amass all over the world from institutional investors and the like, it appears that people all over the world are valuing this thing called Bitcoin, not just valuing it, they're valuing it as a better hedge against inflation than gold. You know? So
it's almost like the world or reality is decoupling from JP Diamond. Or I'm sorry, Jamie Dimon.
Yeah.
JP Diamond. Really, yeah. There's another decoupling happening here. Diamond from reality.
Well, that's been going on. He's been decoupled. Yeah.
That's true.
Let's see. Here's the quote. Institutional investors appear to be returning to Bitcoin, perhaps seeing it as a better inflation hedge than gold. JP Morgan's note reportedly read, there are tentative signs that the previous shift away from gold into Bitcoin seen during most of Q4 2020 and the beginning of 2021 has started re-emerging in recent weeks, it added. So in other words, they're calling for a new bull run or a new resurgence of interest in Bitcoin and crypto. It has these ebbs and flows. Let's see.
Gold's been kind of flat in this last few weeks too, which is maybe factoring into their analysis.
Well, we can also talk about it real quick before moving on to the next article. We also have a video going in more detail about this in the future, but I will just say, to keep it simple, gold, there's no, I mean, of course there could be, but at the moment, humanity does not see a potential for gold to innovate in ways we can't foresee. We already have. We know the uses for gold in jewelry, the uses for gold in mechanics and electricity, and beyond those uses, unless something else comes up, in the future, it seems the value at the moment is more static. It is not growing at such an exponential or rapid rate. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, these ledgers are foundations upon which people are still innovating. They're building layers on top. They're building utility tokens to actually provide a service. So the difference is, and why crypto would be a better hedge, is because it not only is it not as inflationary as the US dollar, like gold has that non-inflationary aspect, but cryptocurrency actually has value being built into it. So what you're buying today potentially could be worth a lot more tomorrow.
Right.
And that's where you become a lot better hedge in inflation, when you actually see.
Well, for example, is you can stake, you can lend, you can do all these things that don't involve a counterparty. Whereas if you do that with gold, you have to trust somebody. You have to give the asset to a counterparty for them to lend you money on it. And so that's one thing. The other thing is that gold is it's not purely physical. There's a lot of it that's traded purely. It's a digital asset. The GLD, right? And there's some games that happen with that market. So that might be another thing that's playing in here, is that paper gold does take some of the shine off of that investment. And I don't know if you have. I mean, there probably will become a time at some point in the future, but I don't believe paper Bitcoin exists right now. What I mean by that is a Bitcoin derivative that is not one-to-one backed by the actual underlying asset, but where you can create more paper claims on the underlying asset and sell those. That's the problem with the GLD, the paper gold market, is that the GLD digital gold supply is not one-to-one with the actual physical metal. So there's all these paper gold derivatives that are bought and sold that affect price, but aren't rooted in a physical supply and demand situation.
Before running through this article and moving on, I also want to mention, the Dell technology founder. Not only is he a proponent of blockchain technology, but he states in this article that they were one of the earliest companies to accept Bitcoin as a mode of payment. So you can see, despite what Jamie Dimon may say about Bitcoin, is that industry leaders are already accepting Bitcoin as a mode of payment.
Right.
On top of that, all other cryptocurrencies Visa and is looking has already accepted, and we're seeing fungibility and in other cryptos being used as payment as well. So the market, this space is just rapidly growing. I did you see the hilarious comment from Brittany?
No, I missed it.
Okay,
I'll have to check it.
It's worthy of mentioning before we go, since we talked about Jamie Dimon.
Diamond paradox.
In economics, there's the diamond water paradox, which deals with the source and the essence of value, right? Like water is worth not that much in the city, and diamonds are worth a lot, but you go out in the desert and all of a sudden nobody cares about how many pockets full of diamonds you have. It's who can find me a cup of water is worth more than all the diamonds. And I think that she's onto something about the value of Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin, and not being observed by heads of financial institutions, called maybe the Jamie Dimon paradox.
Yeah,
there's something in there.
We could find something with that. Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. All right. Well, another reason why cryptocurrency is not flat, we talked about new innovations being built on it. One of those, NFTs. We keep hearing about NFTs. NFTs are one of the recent layers, advancements that have been innovations growing on blockchain. And here we go again with more news about NFTs. What is the story here?
Well, there's a new class of NFTs. These are called bit colors, and the anticipation is this could potentially be another popular series like the CryptoPunks. I don't know. I don't want to make that comparison because that's very popular. So we don't want to, promise the world or anything. But yeah, new NFT project, and there's a link in the article if you want to check it out. But essentially, there's 1,000 different handcrafted NFT colors, and they all have unique names and slightly unique characteristics about them. And you can collect them. This is just now launching. So one of the things with NFTs is that timing is important. We talked about that a minute ago with timing and time in, but I think more so on NFTs, it's timing than anything, and being early is the name of the game on that.
Absolutely, and the answer: will investors lose money? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's all volatile. It's all risk, in this space. So, especially when you look at NFTs, CryptoPunks, a lot of these, their major value proposition is being the first of their kind. And,
right.
And so you have other new NFTs trying to maintain that first of its kind. And that's what I'm reading here is they're trying to make colors, make this some kind of new thing. But, I will say that while it may take off and be great and enter at your own risk, I feel that utility, the real value in NFTs moving forward, isn't the digital art CryptoPunk. It's the utility. It's the admission ticket into a concert. Right. It's the identification. Experience. It's the experience that allows you to access.
The in-game tools or layers or character. Whatever.
Absolutely. There's literally NFTs are in the largest growing protocols right now are NFTs like Axie Infinity, where NFTs are part of the gameplay. They actually have use, and we know that, I don't know if we know, but as I understand, the gaming community around the world is exponentially larger than the movie industry and the entertainment industry there. So when you get NFTs into virtual worlds where people can actually make use of them, and that the utility, that's where I see. We'll talk more about that in the future too.
The metaverse.
Yep.
All right. So I know we want to talk. We're both big fans of Solana. So to hear about a new DEX that's on the Solana network that's going to be utilizing AI, that's very interesting to me. So this is called SolDex. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Mm-hmm. And they're aiming to overcome some of the limitations that other DEXs have. And, that's rooted in the ERC20 Ethereum problem with gas fees and the efficiency problems with that network. And I think that this is there's a lot of competition in this space, but by having the algorithmic trading, the AI powered algorithmic trading option or feature, that does put this project kind of makes it stand alone in a sense, or it shines in a way that others don't. And if you want to read more about that, we're going to link the article. But a few of the characteristics they're aiming to be or to have for this new DEX is it's going to be permissionless. You can trade on any pairing. There's going to be incentivized liquidity, community governance, an ecosystem foundation layer, so you can build for incentives for people to build, and real-time settlement and light speed swaps. So we're looking at a pretty awesome little project out of Solana, Soldex.
Solana is also one of the protocols that they have an active NFT community. They're one of the blue chip blockchains out there. I would definitely put Solana up there with Fantom and Harmony One and these others that are there to take away. And I highlighted this just a minute ago. There we go. This is why.
Yeah.
Often for less than 0.00001 cent.
It's not even worth talking about.
Not even worth, except I just did.
Well, yeah. Right.
To that. But if you're familiar with Ethereum and other protocols, that ability to do a transaction for that small of a fee, that's remarkable. That's a huge achievement, major breakthrough. And
Cosmos is another one that does really, really cheap fees.
Cosmos,
like almost free. Like you're almost not even paying anything.
Virtually free to where and that's what's so beautiful about these projects is that you don't have to be someone with hundreds or thousands of dollars in order to participate. You can actually participate in these protocols with $5. You could start with $5 and you could.
And you could not do that with Ethereum.
Absolutely not. You wouldn't. That would be your transaction fee would cost more than $5.
Yep.
So that's beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, let's talk about crypto making the world a better place.
All right, we're talking about Chainlink and their partnership with a South American company country to bring its first stablecoin. That's the new story here. So they're gonna try to create a decentralized Colombian peso. That's the goal here, a stablecoin. And Chainlink is gonna use their Oracle, their price feed, in order to value the crypto collateral, which will be used to mint and burn these stable coins. And so, Chainlink is an oracle. I guess I would say they're the premier oracle, right?
Yep.
And what is an oracle? Well, oracles fetch data outside of blockchains to inform users on blockchains of what some other underlying value or they just fetch information, right? So if it's a price feed is a common one, and Chainlink, and obviously you want that to be. You have to be concerned about honesty because there's incentives that are at work here. There's perverse incentives for maybe having an untrue data. You could falsify the data. You can make people trade at false prices. So you need to have trusted partner, right? That has an open protocol that can be inspected and it's transparent, and you want it to be decentralized. And Chainlink is so far has been the premier oracle, and that's why they are being chosen for this kind of a project with building a stable coin and out of the Colombian peso, or on top of the Colombian peso, I guess you would say.
What other stable coin does this remind you of when they talk about having a digital asset that they burn in order to keep the price stable?
Oh, it just left my mind.
Terra.
That's right. It would be Terra.
It's exactly the way
Yep.
that they keep their UST stable. The Luna is the digital asset that
Right.
helps keep stable the US. So, and it's a decentralized stablecoin. So it's just beautiful to see these technologies moving and just people take from each other in this space. Absolutely. If you see a decentralized exchange working on Ethereum, well, you'll see another decentralized exchange built almost the exact same way, minus a few tweaks, maybe to help prevent front running or, to make it a little bit more efficient. But if it works, if it works, then use it. And that's what we see a lot in the space. So I love that they are taking the Luna Terra UST stablecoin model. It's a decentralized protocol where it's built in to burn the digital asset to keep it stable.
Right.
And that Chainlink being the oracle, that's huge. Beautiful find.
Yeah, it is. Very cool.
Someone, Joe White said a lot of NFTs are reflection tokens. And we were just talking about NFTs. If you're still there, Joe, let us know a little bit more about what you mean by that, because I'm curious. Does that?
Well, I'm Googling it right now.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should have just done that. Is there such thing as a reflection token?
I guess, they're I guess it's another way of saying a meme coin.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So it's like it's popular because people believe it's popular. The hype is what makes it popular. The value is the hype.
Totally. I would agree. That being said, people today, if you could have the first car, one of the first Ford Model Ts, it doesn't drive as far. It doesn't drive as fast. It's not as comfortable as something you're going to buy today. Right. But it's a neat talking piece to have in the garage. And I think that NFTs, these crypto punks, when people understand the future of what non-fungible tokens can do on the blockchain, it has nothing to do with a little crypto punk.
Right.
This is taking over deeds, titles, identification.
The point is probably pretty sound, is that a lot of NFTs are reflection tokens, but the idea itself, the technology itself and how it will be used in the future definitely can't be just dismissed that way. But certain projects or mini projects in that space, I can see the argument.
Oh, I would agree. I would say that most NFTs right now, one reflection token succeeded, so everyone else let's build our reflection tokens and hope that everyone wants to buy our meme NFT. But at the end of the day, the value of NFTs is not in
that limited application.
Right. In fact,
it's beyond that.
I think that what the CryptoPunk thing is that it was the first to take this ER721 idea, and so if you're holding on to that, you're holding on to one of the first examples of the technology. That makes sense.
But not all are created equal.
Yeah, good point, Joe. Thank you for sharing that, brother. I would agree with you for sure, my friend. All right.
Okay, the next story is one I was kind of fascinated, or not fascinated. I was excited to see that Ethereum is working on this kind of thing. So sign-in is in the works, and this is a way for you to have it's an identity layer on the Ethereum network. So you would also be able to reveal as much information, as much of your identity as you want and as you chose to reveal. So this is very exciting. I know when blockchain first came out, when Bitcoin first came out, one of the very early, well, really after Ethereum, when Ethereum came out and we saw that smart contracts were going to change a lot of how the world works. One of the first, we used to talk a lot about, well, what's this going to, what are the different ways this could show up in the economy? And I know that identity was one of the early ones that we were all, me and all of our friends we've spoken with, we were all excited to see how that could play out, because the identity is one of the big, it touches on so many different layers of our society, from the legal sphere, the economics, and on into privacy. I mean, there's so much that's dealing with identity. So to see this, it's very exciting.
It's very exciting as an alternative, because we're talking about you control your money, you control your finance with blockchain, and now we're seeing it being involved with ID and social media. You control your wallet, you control your ID, and instead of giving it to others to sell and to use against you. There's
a great passage here right above the video with Zuckerberg. And I'll read it. It says, if your first thought is, my name isn't even attached to my ETH wallet, that's exactly the point. Using a cryptographic marker as an identity means the user, not the identity provider, has total control over what information is associated with it. Eventually, you'll be able to decide, for instance, whether a particular service needs your name, proof of your age or a glimpse of your ETH balance. You won't have to send all that information to every service you use. So that kind of gives people a kind of practical understanding of what this might look like and what you might be able to do.
I dig it. Is that the bulk? You want to cover anything else in this article, or do you think that pretty much
And people
covers
can read
it?
on if they want. That's the big part of it. There's one little section here further on deals with what kinds of identity people this might be. Yeah, what kinds of identity would this be using, and the potential for, is it going to be government IDs, or is it going to be some decentralized version? And they're saying that they're leaving it open to have strong options such as government ID. But I don't believe that's going to be, from this article, it doesn't feel like that's going to be the sole use, but that will be a layer of it in the future.
Dig it. Hey, we got a response from Joe. He says
Okay.
a reflection mechanism, thank you, Joe, by the way, can be defined as a process in which tokens act as a self-generating mechanism for their holders. As every transaction is taxed, you receive tokens automatically. So absolutely, NFTs can be placeholders for shares or for a position that you hold in a value in a protocol that you receive disbursements. That's one of the major I would say major innovative uses of NFTs. Now, depending upon which NFT you hold, will dictate the amount of rewards that you get, right? Because in fact, there actually is an Alchemix where you provide liquidity and you will get an NFT for the liquidity you provided. So if you provide $1,000 worth of liquidity, your NFT will reflect that position, and the transaction fees that you will receive from that position are based upon that
Your
NFT,
share.
your share, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's another and you know what, I would say this to Joe's point, a reflection mechanism. That's actually one of the biggest values in music, in art industry. Is they're stating that your NFT, your song turned into an NFT, is a reflection mechanism whereby anyone who uses that or trades that or sells that, a portion of the rewards will go back to the original artist.
Like a royalty.
So that's awesome. All right, let's move on to, this is a neat little article because we were talking about CrossChain and bridges, and this is kind of bringing together the value of different chains in investment, raising money for these IDOs.
Right. Let's define that for people who maybe don't know what an IDO is. An IDO is an initial DEX offering. So this is a way of raising funds, but doing it in a decentralized way. So this article explains a little bit about it, but essentially IDOs allow token distribution to the public instead of it being to some kind of narrow class of early investors, which was common for things like ICOs and also with more traditional IPOs in the legacy financial markets, right? So this is a way of crowdsourcing investment, and then also there's a governance layer to it as well, because you're going to be first let's talk about the name. Aegis Launchpad, I believe is the name.
Yes.
And it's going to be launching, and they're going to be raising money. They're going to be making an offering, and tokens will be sold, and holders of those tokens are going to have governance rights, and they'll vote on how things will be, what kind of decisions are going to be exerted, and so you can crowdsource from the community what should happen, and lots of cool stuff. They have a roadmap. They're trying to. It's another example of a protocol that's trying to root out some errors that they see in the DeFi space, and that's dealing with interoperability and gas fees. So they're looking to create a multi-chain capable protocol, which that's awesome. I mean, you start bridging these chains together in a way that's easy to move from one to the other. That's revolutionary, because that's kind of one of the problems with the ecosystem now, is that there's all these separate sandboxes, and we need to get them into communication together so we can get these network effects to kind of level up and to compound, I guess, right?
I don't know much about Aegis. We'll keep you abreast as we figure it out. But what they're claiming and what they're building is huge. It's big for crypto and big for blockchain. They claim to be the first decentralized multi-chain protocol with an insurance system, which is big considering how many projects you hear of a hack, you hear of a bug, you hear of this issue and millions being lost. And so having an insurance protocol that like an FDIC for backing people who are part of the network. And I also want to say when it comes, we talk about cross-chain, having a multi-chain wallet where people can swap, stake, and claim rewards at no cost with their swap tool. These, if they're able to accomplish this, these are definitely major innovations. To be able to swap from different blockchains right within your own wallet, right within your own cryptocurrency wallet.
That's huge.
Multi-chain connections, and then to stake and swap. So look, that's going to be the name of the game for people who are in right now and are experimenting with using this bridge and going over here and staking. Look, the rewards are out there for you, but in the future, you're not going to have to know how to write program to have an email address. In the future, most people are just going to have one wallet that they open up, and they're just going to pick whatever they want, and it'll swap right there. And that's those protocols that can bring that ease of use, that kind user interface. Those are going to be the ones that get the market share moving forward.
That's right.
So, did we pretty much cover this one?
Well, that's covered.
Cool.
That was a good cherry on top.
We have speaking of cherry on top, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Well, all right. So today we had some big news in the economics world. The Nobel was announced for the prize for the economists who did the most this year, or in any year, I guess, for advancing the science. And this year the Nobel goes to David Card, Josh Angrist, and Guido Imbens. And I don't know if you guys have heard of the Card and Kruger study from '94, but it was that's the most famous study connected to David Card. And it's taking a look at sorry, tongue tied. It's taking a look at minimum wage laws and changes in minimum wage laws and how they impact unemployment, and specifically employment at fast food restaurants. So this would be lower in the pay in the wage ladder. And one of the things that this paper did that's so notable or novel is not so much its conclusions, it's so much as its methods. David Card and Kruger as well, but Card specifically, he revolutionized an approach for measuring and testing certain questions that prior to him were seen as intractable because we couldn't figure out how to establish causation. It was always, well, what caused what? Did this cause that, or is it just noise, or what? So David Card figured out a way to kind of isolate what he saw as natural experiments that already were existing in the economy, and using what he calls a difference in difference approach, he basically the experiment works out when there's like two states next to each other that have similar economies, but one has a policy change and the other doesn't. So what the difference in difference approach does is measure the change in the state with the policy switch, and then see the change in the state that didn't have a policy switch, and subtract the state with no policy, and the causation and the different price changes and the demand factors and all the different things that have happened, and subtract that from the state with the policy, and what you're left with is a netted out effect of that policy itself, instead of just the noise. So what happened was that they figured out how to measure things and isolate factors that beforehand were involved in too many other variables. And they were trying a way to isolate those variables so they could measure just one thing and focus on just one question. And that's the difference in difference approach, as well as a couple other methods that that Card innovated. And then further on, you have other two other economists that he shares the award with, Angrist and Kruger, and they've done some awesome work also on method and statistics. So this is an award this year for people who've done innovative work on the empirical methods and statistics as applied to economics. And you can read. We're going to link the article below if you're interested in reading how these economists made their discoveries and what kind of economic theories and lessons came out of these studies. And yeah, it's good stuff.
And it does, of course, this doesn't mean that the results of the study were accurate or correct. It's really just about innovative methods in trying to understand.
But in this case, I think the results were right. We've come around to understand how this could be. So the idea here is that the minimum wage was raised and it didn't reduce fast food employment. And that kind of it's counterintuitive because you think, oh, well, the law of demand says that as price goes up, demand falls. So why did the demand for fast food workers go up? Well, the reason is because it's always a marginal thing. And if the minimum wage is just slightly above the market rate or in the neighborhood of it, then the minimum wage effect on employment would be very small. But it's only when you have a massive or a significantly higher minimum wage than what the actual market rate is, that's when you'll start seeing employment effects. But it might not even show up in aggregate employment. It'll show up as a shift. So you'll see what happens is that the low-skilled laborers whose marginal productivity doesn't justify that minimum wage, they get laid off and they get replaced with people who do have a higher skill set and do produce a marginal rate that's close to the minimum wage. So the overall number of workers in the economy might stay the same, but what happens is the labor market composition changes, and you'll see jobs go to people and jobs leave other people. So you'll see a jobless rate higher amongst teenagers, for example, and you'll see like 20 and 30 and 40-year-olds with earning these minimum wage rates. And why aren't they hiring the kids? Well, it's because they get more productivity out of the people with the higher skills. And so you can have minimum wage laws that don't impact aggregate employment, but still have a negative consequence.
Well said. And these control groups don't eliminate variables and make it a perfect model. There's still, even when you have a control group in one state and you pass along another state, if there's limited labor mobility and there are other factors that affect the two areas, then there could still be issues for sure. And labor mobility, when it comes to minimum wage, I would say that there's not a lot of labor mobility when it comes to minimum wage. I mean, people will move to a different state if you find jobs that have 100,000 large salaries in certain markets and certain industries. But if you are in New Jersey and you raise the minimum wage $2 or $3, that's not the market of laborers that pick up and forego their rent and go rent a new place and go drive somewhere else because they can get $2 an hour more. I mean, you usually find that the people who have a minimum wage aren't that labor mobile in the first place. They have to pretty much get what they can get in the area. That would be another factor, but I'm going off on a tangent.
That's true. The transaction costs for moving from one area to another are significant.
Let's see. We had a pretty good stream, brother. We covered a lot.
Yeah.
Our streams are a little bit shorter at the moment. We are dropping. We've got 3 videos that are coming out in the next 3 days. And we've got more content that we're working on. So if you like news, if you like to hear about which projects are popping and what's going on in crypto blockchain world, and if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how to get involved, how to download a Web3 wallet and use it to send, receive, stake, provide liquidity, all that good stuff, to get free airdrops, to join this innovative revolution, this new technology. We're building communities. We talk about DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, and we've got a lot more. Our partner Jacob will be on sharing how to get involved. These are the democracies of the future. These are the platforms that give people a voice again, where they used to not have a voice. You become involved. You vote on a proposal. Here in blockchain, your vote counts. Here in blockchain, your vote is transparent. There cannot be another one with that address, one at a time. So it's a beautiful time to get involved.
That's right.
That pretty much covered all?
Yeah, that's right. I think you hit all the right notes. We're going to have some more videos coming out shortly. We filmed some today that are in the pipeline. Look out for that. Subscribe, like, comment, anything. We love the participation. Thank you for Joe and Aaron and Brittany for interacting and hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week.
Until the next time, have a beautiful day and namaste.